Thank you so much. I want to thank Dacapo, is that how you say it? Dacapo for having me here, and of course DV Mark, and most importantly, you guys who are awesome. Wow, this is so cool that you all came out to watch me make a bunch of noise and stir up confusion in the neighborhood. Thank you. It's kind of exciting for me, and at the same time weird, because as being anything that special, so it's always really flattering to this day when people are interested in hearing me play, because I'm still not quite sure what it is that people are interested in, but I am certainly very grateful and very flattered. And even more flattered that recently I've had an opportunity to work with a company called DV Mark on an amplifier that became my signature amplifier called the Marigold Amp, which is over here, and put them through a lot of turmoil by being that. So it's not like, the strange things that I do were never the result of trying to be innovative. It was always the result of thinking, man, I can't do that. I got to figure out some other way to do it. So at the same time, it often means that what I need in an amplifier are things that are maybe slightly like that much anymore. I'm hoping that most of you have not seen the instruction video I did years ago. If you, that means you have seen it. The hairdo is really kind of the highlight. But it's interesting because I was picking a lot in that video, but I never really considered myself that good at it. So the video ended up being this video that I thought was I thought I was just doing the warm-up section, and it turns out the cameraman guy says, yeah, we have an hour worth of stuff now, so here's your video. And it's really just a video of a bunch of exercises. But I've sort of gotten away from picking. Most of the stuff I do is more hammer-ons and pull-offs. And so I really like the attack to be a lot. I like it to be loud. This is the clean channel of the amp. And it's very percussive. So it's got a lot of attack, a lot of immediacy up front, which I personally like. I do a lot of things that are just where I'm just doing a lot of hammer-ons. I want those notes to sound like, almost like I always picture like 6 basketballs bouncing on a hardwood floor. And that's kind of the sound that I look for. And I also want it to be very, very even. So when I'm doing things like, again, these sort of fake finger-picking things that I do a lot. I want to hear that attack. And so I think we got that out of the clean channel. There's a piece that I did on an album called Extraction on acoustic guitar called A Delicacy. And the piece involves all hammer-ons pretty much. It's almost entirely hammer-ons. And whenever I play it live on an electric guitar and I'm at the mercy of whatever equipment the promoter provided, I often find that it's strange because it'll just be like the low notes will be too loud or not loud enough, or the high notes are too loud, and then I have to focus on not hammering on so loud with this finger, but hammering on louder with this finger. I like the way it feels. I don't have to work hard to balance things out. All the pick notes are sort of the same volume as the hammer-ons. You get a completely different kind of distortion. So it's a really cool clean channel. It's one of the best ones I've played. The gain channel, soundproof. One guy. Cool. Section that goes. So it's kind of a cool opportunity to hear both the channels working together. So I'll start with that, and then we'll go from there. To like players like Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin, and it was weird because I could learn a lot of those solos and it wasn't that difficult for me, and at the time he was sort of considered the best rock guitar player in the world, and I could play a lot of that stuff, so I figured maybe I'm the second best player in the world. and it wasn't really until Van Halen came along and I was a teenager that there was a whole nother level of playing, and that's really when I became sort of obsessed with the guitar, and I just started listening to him and wanted to be the first kid to on the block that could figure out how to play a lot of that stuff, and really just got way into the guitar. And she said that she was kind of a fan of mine, and I'm a huge fan of hers. And she said if she ever leaves the Michael Jackson gig, she would recommend me for the guitar slot. And I thought, wow, that's really awesome. And a long story short, that actually happened, but it happened in a very, very scary way, because she ended up having a situation where her mother got ill, and she said to me, she called me and said, at some point I'm going to have to leave the tour, and they're probably going to call you and want you to come step in. So she was polite enough and kind enough to send demos and send all of her guitar parts to me, and she even had a bunch of presets on her digital unit, because every song had different sounds, and I had to, if I was going to do this, I had to memorize what they were as well. And months went by and I didn't get a phone call, and I was actually turning down a lot of gigs and turning down a lot of opportunities because I didn't want to be, thank you very much, I didn't want to be unavailable when they called. I didn't want to be in the middle of Japan or something and miss that phone call. So I just sort of sat by the phone for months. And eventually I thought to myself, if this never happens, I can't just, at some point I have to get back to my career. So I just started getting back to what I was doing before, and kind of forgot about the Michael Jackson stuff and just didn't really. I have 6 hours to prepare for a Michael Jackson tour and pack my clothes. And I was begging him on the phone, like, please, when's the next gig after Wednesday? What's the one after that? And he's like, well, there's a gig on Friday. And I said, if there's any way that you could hold out till Friday, I can be totally ready by Friday. Totally ready. He's like, nope. If you can't do the Wednesday gig, we're going to get somebody else. So I just thought, all right, I got to go for it. And it was really, really scary. So I'm packing clothes, putting the Walkman on, listening to parts, picking up my guitar, throwing my underwear in the bag, trying different things, looking over the chart of presets, and got to Amsterdam Tuesday afternoon, had a little bit of time in the hotel room to listen a little bit more. Then Wednesday morning, which was the day of the gig, they wanted me to do a run-through with the band, just at least go through 4 or 5 songs to make sure that I was competent enough to do this. And so that's what we did around noon of Wednesday. The whole band and I went through about 4 or 5 songs. And I was getting through it, and it was working, and I was thinking, this is, I was getting relieved, because it was like, I think I can really do this. This is really going to work. So the production manager came up to me after about 4 or 5 songs, and he said, yeah, Greg, it sounds good. I think this is good. So let's talk about the choreography. And fortunately, I found the ideal band for this. I have a singer that's just outrageously good, and she looks great, and we all live in Vegas now, so I think that big things are going to happen with us. Well, good things are at least will happen. And but it's nice. At the same time, I'm doing a lot of webcam guitar lessons, because one of the things I've also noticed is that the more successful you are and the more things are happening, the less time you have to practice. So I could easily get swept away in the world of emails and phone calls and social media and not touch my guitar if I'm not careful. So I try to do these webcam guitar lessons, which are really, really fun, because I get to interact with people from all over the world in real time. So it's really amazing to be, doing a guitar thing with someone that lives in Australia or someone that lives in Indonesia or California, and everything's in real time, and it's almost just like being in person, except that it's not. But so it's fun, and it also forces me to have the guitar in my hand. So I really love doing that, and it also gives me a sense of what it is that people are interested in. And so the things that I get asked about the most are playing outside, learning about superimposition, and learning about how chords on top of other chords can create much bigger sounds, and you can start to focus more on chord extension tones as opposed to just always being inside, always being inside the tonal center. And that's probably the question I get asked the most. How can I get out of the blues box and do things that are more expressive, or that are just different, that sound more expanded? And one of the things that I do is I'll tell people, or I'll suggest to people, if you know the chord scale, if you know what a chord scale is, and you know that you can, if you know a little bit about music theory, and it's not even music theory, it's just learning some basic ideas, then you can see the chord scale in relationship to the parent key of whatever mode you're in. And I know that sounds probably more complicated than it is, but if someone's playing in, say, A Dorian, and they know that A Dorian has the same notes in it as G major, then what they can do is start to look at G major, and they can say to themselves, what happens if I attach an arpeggio to each one of those? Instead of playing the chord, I'll just play the arpeggio shape that represents the chord. And so forth. And then experiment with what those notes sound like in the context of the mode that you're in. So an exercise that people will do, or that I'll recommend to students, is to just take a single static chord vamp, like say A minor, and just play arpeggios over it, or at least just play slowly. Listen to the sound of the arpeggio notes over it, so you can get a feel for what notes are being highlighted. So this is one of the exercises I used to do. I would just sit and do that. I would have a straight groove like this, and then I'd think. So this is very inside. But now, maybe I'll play an arpeggio that's related to this key, like G major. You know, B minor. Sharp minor 7 flat 5. C major. And you can see that I'm not just playing arpeggios, I'm sort of filling in the gaps with a lot of arpeggios. So instead of just playing C major, I might say to myself, I like the notes that are So it's a really fun exercise to just sit there and go up or down a half step. Oh, man. I can't believe he's talking about your stuff. Yes, we can. We may want to mute the
Geen klompen. Mogelijk is dansen. Nee, die staat buiten.
Ah!